The red warning lights flashed in the underground command center as Jake Morrison studied the holographic display floating above the metal table. 50 years had passed since the Galaxy Council built their energy wall around Earth's solar system. 50 years since 12 alien races decided that humans were too dangerous to join their space community. They thought isolation would make humans weak or destroy them completely. They were wrong. Jake touched the scar on his left cheek, a reminder of the food riots that happened in the early days after the exile. Back then, people panicked when they realized they were trapped. No more alien technology, no more trade with other worlds, just Earth and whatever humans could build with their own hands. "Commander Morrison, we have movement on level 7, said Tony Rodriguez, walking into the room with quick steps. Tony was one of the best pilots Jake had ever seen. His dark hair was messy from working in the engine bay all morning. "Dr. Parker wants to see you right away." Jake nodded and followed Tony down the long metal corridors. The underground city of New Haven stretched for miles beneath what used to be the Rocky Mountains. When the Council put up their barrier, humans had to dig deep to survive. The surface was still livable, but down here they could work in secret. Down here they could build things that would make the alien races very surprised. They took the elevator down to level 7. The doors opened to reveal Dr. Lisa Parker's laboratory. The woman was small, but her mind was bigger than anyone Jake knew. She stood next to a machine that hummed with strange energy. Wires and metal tubes connected it to computers that covered every wall. "Jake, come look at this," Lisa said without turning around. Her gray hair was tied back in a simple ponytail. She wore the same white lab coat she had worn for the past 10 years. "I think we finally did it." Jake walked closer to the machine. It was about the size of a car but shaped like a smooth egg. Blue light pulsed inside its clear center. "Did what exactly?" "We cracked their barrier technology." Lisa's voice was calm, but Jake could hear the excitement underneath. "Remember how we captured pieces of their energy wall when it first went up? We've been studying those fragments for decades. Yesterday, Ben Carter figured out how to reverse the energy flow." Tony whistled low. "You mean we can make a hole in their wall?" "Better than that," Lisa said. She walked to a control panel and pressed several buttons. The machine's humming grew louder. "We can make our own barrier, one that works from the inside out. We can control it completely." Jake felt his heart beat faster. For 50 years, humans had been prisoners in their own solar system. They had used that time well. The old countries had stopped fighting each other and joined together. All of Earth's resources went to one goal, proving the Galaxy Council wrong. "How big of a hole?" Jake asked. "Big enough for a small ship," Lisa replied. "Maybe something the size of Tony's fighter." Tony grinned. "The new Dawn is ready to fly. I've been working on her for 2 years. She has the new gravity drive and enough supplies for a 6-month journey." Jake looked at both of them. These were good people, smart people. They had spent their entire adult lives working toward this moment. The thought of sending Tony out into the galaxy alone made Jake's stomach tight with worry. "What do we know about what's out there now?" Jake asked. Lisa pulled up a holographic star map. "Not much. We lost all contact 50 years ago. For all we know, the Council could have robots waiting to shoot down any ship that leaves our system. Or they might have forgotten about us completely," Tony added. 50 years is a long time. Jake walked around the machine, thinking hard. The underground city was home to 50,000 people. Scientists, engineers, soldiers, and families who had never seen the surface. They had built an entire civilization in the dark, powered by fusion reactors and fed by hydroponic farms. Children, born after the exile, had never seen an alien or a spaceship that wasn't built by human hands. But they had also built weapons. Lots of weapons. "Show me the new Dawn," Jake said finally. They took another elevator down to level 12. The hangar bay was enormous, carved out of solid rock. Dozens of spacecraft filled the space. Most were small fighters, but some were larger, ships designed for long journeys. They all looked different from the old pre-exile ships. These were sleek and dangerous, built by people who knew they might have to fight for their lives. The new Dawn sat in the center of the hangar. She was beautiful in a deadly way. Her hull was made from a metal that absorbed most types of energy weapons. Her engines could bend space around the ship, making her incredibly fast. Most importantly, she was completely silent when she flew. "She's perfect," Jake said, running his hand along the ship's smooth side. "There's more," Lisa said. "We've been building other things too, weapons that the Council has never seen, ships that can appear and disappear using quantum technology, energy systems that can power entire cities." Jake turned to look at her. "How many ships?" "Right now? About 300 ready for combat, but we can build more quickly if we need them." Lisa's voice was proud. "The Council thought isolation would make us weak. Instead, it made us desperate, and desperate humans are very creative." Tony climbed into the New Dawn's cockpit. "I can leave whenever you give the order, Commander." Jake thought about the last 50 years. Thought about the children who had never seen the stars except through telescopes. Thought about the scientists who had worked day and night to build humanity's future. Thought about the soldiers who trained for a war that might never come. "What's the plan once you get through the barrier?" Jake asked. "Reconnaissance first," Tony replied. "Find out what the galaxy looks like now. See if the Council is still in power. Check for any threats. Then come back and report. And if they try to stop you?" Tony's smile was not friendly. "Then they'll learn that humans have learned some new tricks." Jake made his decision. "Dr. Parker, how long until the barrier breach system is ready?" "Give me 6 hours to run final tests," she said. "Tony, get your ship ready. You launch at midnight." As Jake walked back through the corridors of New Haven, he passed windows that showed the activity on every level. People working in factories, building things that would make the Galaxy Council very nervous. Children learning mathematics and science that would let them travel between stars. Soldiers training with weapons that could crack planets. The Council had wanted to keep humans away from the galaxy. They had succeeded for 50 years. But now humanity was ready to return. And when they did, the galaxy would discover that exiling Earth had been the biggest mistake in galactic history. Jake reached his office and sat down at his desk. He opened a communication channel to every underground city on Earth. There were dozens of them now, all connected by quantum communication systems. "This is Commander Morrison," he said into the microphone. "Operation Breakthrough begins in 6 hours. Prepare all systems. Alert all personnel. Tonight we take the first step toward showing the galaxy what humans have become." The response came from every city at once. Thousands of voices saying the same thing. "Ready, Commander." Jake smiled and looked up at the ceiling, imagining the stars beyond the rock and metal. Soon, very soon, humanity would be among those stars again. And this time, they would not be asking for permission. Tony Rodriguez felt the New Dawn shake as she passed through the energy barrier. The blue wall of light that had trapped humanity for 50 years crackled around his ship like lightning. Then suddenly, everything went quiet. He was through. For the first time in 50 years, a human ship flew free in the galaxy. Tony looked at his instruments. Everything was working perfectly. The quantum drive hummed softly, bending space around his ship. The stealth systems made him invisible to most sensors. Dr. Parker's technology was even better than they had hoped. "Computer, scan for nearby ships or stations," Tony said. "Scanning complete." "No artificial objects detected within 1 light year," the computer replied in a calm female voice. Tony frowned. Before the exile, this area of space had been busy with Council ships. Trade routes ran right past Earth's solar system. Now there was nothing. He set course for the nearest Council world, a planet called Nexus Prime that used to be a major trading hub. The journey took 3 days at quantum speed. When Tony arrived at Nexus Prime, he couldn't believe what he saw. The planet was dark. No city lights, no orbital stations, no ships in the sky. Just a dead world covered in strange black metal. "Computer, what happened here?" Tony whispered. "Unknown. Detecting traces of an unknown metal alloy covering approximately 70% of the planet's surface. Energy readings suggest recent combat." Tony moved his ship closer, staying hidden behind one of the planet's moons. Through his telescope, He could see that the black metal had grown over the cities like a disease. Whatever had attacked this world had not just conquered it, they had consumed it. A warning alarm sounded in the cockpit. Large energy signature approaching from Galactic Core, the computer announced. Tony quickly powered down all non-essential systems and waited. A massive ship appeared, longer than 3 Earth cities placed end to end. It was made of the same black metal that covered the dead planet below. The ship moved slowly, like a predator that knew it had no enemies to fear. Tony watched in horror as the giant ship extended thousands of metal tentacles toward Nexus Prime. The tentacles touched the planet's surface and began to glow. The ship was eating the planet, drinking its energy and metal like a monster feeding on a corpse. "Recording all data," Tony said quietly. His hands shook as he worked the controls. "Computer, identify the attacking vessel. No match in database. Design unknown. Material composition unknown. Energy signature unknown." Tony had seen enough. He activated the quantum drive and jumped away from the system. His next stop was Vega Station, a Council military base that had been heavily defended. Maybe the Council forces there had been able to fight back, but Vega Station was gone too. In its place was a field of debris and more of the black metal creatures. Tony counted at least 20 of the giant ships, all feeding on what remained of the station and the nearby planets. Fear grew in Tony's chest. The Galaxy Council had 12-member races with thousands of worlds. If these creatures had destroyed Nexus Prime and Vega Station, how many other worlds had fallen? Tony spent the next 2 weeks jumping from system to system. Every Council world he visited was either destroyed or under attack. The alien creatures were everywhere, consuming everything in their path. Tony started calling them Devourers because that's all they seemed to do. On the 15th day, Tony found something different. A Council fleet was fighting back. The battle was taking place near Altair 7th, a world with billions of people. 50 Council warships surrounded the planet, firing their energy weapons at 3 Devourer ships. The alien creatures were much larger, but they seemed to be taking damage. Tony moved closer, careful to stay hidden. He watched the Council ships fire their plasma cannons and particle beams. The weapons hit the Devourer ships and created bright explosions. For a moment, Tony felt hopeful. Then he saw the truth. The explosions were just light shows. The Devourer ships had no real damage. Their black metal hulls absorbed the Council weapons like sponges absorbing water. But when the Devourers fired back, their weapons cut through Council ships like knives through paper. Tony watched in horror as the Council fleet died. One by one, their ships exploded or were grabbed by metal tentacles and consumed. Within an hour, all 50 Council ships were gone. The Devourers began feeding on Altair 7th. Tony activated his communication system and tried to contact the dying planet. Maybe he could help evacuate some people. Maybe he could learn more about these creatures. "This is Captain Tony Rodriguez of Earthship New Dawn," he broadcast on all frequencies. "Any Council forces, please respond." Static filled his speakers for several minutes. Then a weak voice answered. "Earthship. Earth was exiled 50 years ago. This must be a trick." "No trick. I'm human. My ship broke through the barrier. I'm here to gather information." "Human," the voice said with surprise. "This is Admiral Zenth of the Altair Defense Fleet, or what's left of it. Human, you must leave this system immediately. The Devourers will detect your ship." "What are these Devourers? Where did they come from?" "They appeared 6 months ago from the Galactic Rim. They consume everything, metal, energy, life itself. Our weapons cannot stop them. Nothing can stop them." Tony watched as one of the Devourer ships moved toward his hiding spot. He quickly jumped away, but not before recording everything he had seen. Admiral Zenth's voice followed him through quantum space. "Human, if your people have truly returned, you must warn the galaxy. The Council has called for help from everyone, even the exiled races. We are losing this war." Tony set course for Earth, his mind racing. The Galaxy Council that had exiled humanity was dying. The same council that had called humans too violent and dangerous now needed help from the very people they had locked away. But Tony had seen the Council weapons. Their plasma cannons and particle beams were like toys compared to what humanity had built in the underground cities. 50 years of desperation had created weapons that could crack moons and ships that could appear anywhere in an instant. The journey home took 4 days. Tony spent every minute writing his report and analyzing the data he had collected. The Devourers were powerful, but they had weaknesses. They moved slowly. They seemed to follow predictable patterns. And most importantly, they had never faced human weapons. When Tony arrived at Earth, he found Jake Morrison waiting for him in the hangar bay. Behind Jake stood Admiral Kate Sullivan, the leader of Earth's space fleet. She was a tall woman with steel-gray hair and eyes that had seen too many battles. "Report," Admiral Sullivan said as Tony climbed out of his ship. Tony told them everything: the dead worlds, the Devourer ships, the failing Council fleets. As he spoke, more people gathered around him. Scientists, engineers, and military officers all listened with growing excitement. "So the Council is losing," Jake said when Tony finished. "The same Council that called us too dangerous to join their peaceful galaxy." "They're not just losing," Tony replied. "They're being destroyed. In 6 months, maybe less, there won't be a Galaxy Council left to hate us." Admiral Sullivan smiled, but it was not a kind smile. "Then I suppose it's time to show them what 50 years of exile taught us to build." Tony nodded. "Admiral, I saw their weapons. Council technology is 50 years behind what we have now, but these Devourers are something else. They're going to be a real fight." "Good," Admiral Sullivan said. "Humans fight better when the odds are against us." As Tony walked through the underground city, he saw the preparations beginning. Weapons were being loaded onto ships. Soldiers were putting on armor that could stop energy weapons. Engineers were making final adjustments to devices that could tear apart enemy ships at the atomic level. The Galaxy Council had exiled Earth to protect themselves from human violence. Now that same violence might be the only thing that could save them from extinction. Tony smiled as he thought about the irony. The Council's biggest mistake was about to become their only salvation. The alien ship appeared at the edge of Earth's solar system, like a wounded animal looking for help. It was huge, almost as big as a small moon, but parts of it were missing. Black scorch marks covered its silver hull. One of its engine sections was completely gone. Jake Morrison stood in the command center, watching the damaged ship try to get closer to Earth. The energy barrier that had trapped humanity for 50 years was still there, but now humans controlled it from the inside. The sci-fi alien ship couldn't get through. "They're broadcasting on all frequencies," said Maya Johnson, the communication officer. She was young, maybe 25, with short brown hair and quick hands on the control panels. "The message is in 12 different languages." "Put it on." "Speaker," Jake said. A strange voice filled the room. It sounded like music mixed with static. "People of Earth, this is Council Ambassador Zithara. Our worlds are dying. The Devourers consume everything in their path. We need your help. Please respond." Jake looked around the command center. Every person there had been born after the exile. They had grown up hearing stories about the Galaxy Council that called humans too violent to join the galactic community. Now that same council was begging for help. "Sir," Maya said quietly, "what should we tell them?" Before Jake could answer, President Alex Turner walked into the room. Alex was a big man with gray hair and hands that showed he had worked in the factories before becoming Earth's leader. Behind him came General Sam Brooks, a woman whose reputation for tactical genius was known in every underground city. "I heard the transmission," President Turner said. "How long have they been out there?" 3 hours, Jake replied. "Their ship is badly damaged. From the energy readings, I'd say they barely escaped a fight with the Devourers." General Brooks walked to the main display screen. It showed the alien ship drifting helplessly outside the barrier. "One ship," she said. "After 50 years of silence, they send one ship to ask for our help." President Turner was quiet for a long moment. Everyone in the room waited for his decision. Finally, he spoke. "Open a channel." Maya pressed several buttons. "Channel open." "Sir?" "This is President Alex Turner of Earth. the president said in a clear voice. "We received your message, Ambassador Zythara." The alien voice came back immediately, full of hope and desperation. "President Turner, thank you for responding. I am the last surviving member of the Council's diplomatic fleet. The Devourers have destroyed our main worlds. Billions are dead. We need Earth's help to fight them." "Earth's help," President Turner repeated slowly. "The same Earth you exiled 50 years ago because we were too dangerous?" There was a long pause before the ambassador answered. "Yes, we made a mistake. Humans were never the threat we believed them to be. The real threat came from the Galactic Rim. We should have listened to your warnings about unknown dangers." Jake remembered those warnings. Before the exile, human scientists had detected strange energy signatures from the edge of the galaxy. The Council had ignored them, calling human technology primitive and unreliable. "What exactly are you asking us to do?" President Turner said. "Help us fight the Devourers. Our weapons cannot harm them. Our ships are no match for theirs. But perhaps together we can find a way to stop them." General Brooks stepped forward. "Mr. President, may I speak with the ambassador?" Turner nodded. "Ambassador, this is General Sam Brooks, commander of Earth's military forces." "General Brooks," the alien voice said, "I have heard stories of human military innovation. Is it true that your people have continued developing weapons technology during the exile?" Sam smiled, but there was no warmth in it. "Ambassador, we've done more than develop weapons. We've revolutionized them. Our ships can appear anywhere in the galaxy instantly. Our weapons can tear apart enemy vessels at the molecular level. Our armor can stop energy blasts that would vaporize Council ships." "That is impressive," the ambassador said. "Would you be willing to share this technology with the Council races?" "Share?" General Brooks laughed. "Ambassador, you locked us away for 50 years. You called us violent savages who couldn't be trusted with galactic citizenship. Now you want us to give you our weapons?" The communication channel went quiet. Outside, the alien ship drifted closer to the barrier, its damaged engines struggling to maintain position. President Turner walked to the window that showed the stars beyond, Earth's atmosphere. Somewhere out there, entire civilizations were dying while alien monsters consumed their worlds. The moral weight of the decision pressed down on him like a mountain. "Dr. Parker," Turner said into his communicator, "please come to the command center." A few minutes later, Dr. Lisa Parker arrived. She was older now, her hair completely white, but her mind was still sharper than anyone else's. She had spent 50 years turning humanity's exile into their greatest advantage. "Dr. Parker," Turner said, "in your opinion, can we stop these Devourers?" Lisa looked at the data from Tony's reconnaissance mission. She studied the energy readings and weapon effectiveness reports. "Yes," she said finally. "But it won't be easy. The Devourers have adapted to Council technology. They've learned to absorb plasma and particle beam weapons. But they've never faced gravity bombs or quantum disruptors." "What would you need?" Turner asked. "Full access to Council star charts and tactical data, information about Devourer movement patterns, and most importantly, complete freedom to operate our fleet without Council interference." Turner turned back to the communication panel. "Ambassador Zythara, are you still there?" "Yes, President Turner. I am here. We're willing to help you fight the Devourers. But we have conditions." The alien voice became excited. "Name them. Anything you require." "First, the exile ends immediately. The energy barrier around our solar system comes down permanently. Second, Earth becomes a full member of the Galaxy Council with equal voting rights. Third, all human colonies and expansion rights are recognized. Fourth, Earth's military operates independently. We don't take orders from Council commanders." There was a very long pause. Jake could imagine the alien ambassador trying to process demands that would have been unthinkable 6 months ago. I do not have the authority to agree to such terms," the ambassador said finally. "Then get someone who does," General Brooks said firmly. "While you're deciding, the Devourers are getting stronger. Every day you wait, more worlds die." The council assembly was destroyed 2 weeks ago, the ambassador admitted. Most of the senior leadership is dead. I am one of the few officials left with any authority. President Turner and General Brooks exchanged looks. The Galaxy Council, that had ruled for thousands of years, was falling apart. Soon there might not be a council left to negotiate with. Ambassador, Turner said, I'm going to make this simple. Agree to our terms now, and we deploy our fleet immediately. Refuse, and you can fight the Devourers alone. But these terms would make Earth the dominant power in the galaxy, the ambassador protested. That's right, Turner said. The same humans you exiled for being too violent are now your only hope for survival. Think about that irony while you make your decision. Minutes passed. Jake watched the alien ship struggle to maintain its position. Finally, the ambassador spoke again. On behalf of what remains of the Galaxy Council, I accept your terms. Earth is no longer in exile. You have full membership and all the rights you requested. General Brooks activated her communicator. All fleet commanders, this is General Brooks. Operation Galaxy Storm is now active. Deploy all ships immediately. Jake felt the underground city vibrate as massive ships launched from hidden bays. Humanity's secret fleet was finally going to war. The same violence that got them exiled was about to save the galaxy. President Turner looked out at the stars, one more time. Ambassador, you're about to learn why the Council was right to fear human weapons. The only problem is you exiled the wrong species. Fleet Admiral Chris Murphy stood on the bridge of the Earth flagship Retribution and watched the largest space battle in galactic history unfold before him. The Devourer mothership hung in space like a black moon, twice the size of Earth itself. Around it, thousands of smaller Devourer vessels fed on the remains of dead star systems. Between the human fleet and the alien monsters, the last Council ships fought desperately. There were maybe 50 of them left, all that remained of a navy that once controlled the entire galaxy. Their plasma weapons flashed uselessly against Devourer hulls that absorbed energy like hungry beasts. Admiral, said Captain Lisa Parker Jr., walking onto the bridge. She was the daughter of the famous Dr. Lisa Parker, and just as brilliant as her mother. Our scouts report the mothership is almost ready to consume the galactic core. If it succeeds, it will have enough power to create more ships like itself. Chris nodded grimly. The galactic core was a massive black hole that provided energy to billions of star systems. If the Devourers consumed it, they would become unstoppable. Every living world in the galaxy would die. How long do we have? Chris asked. Maybe 6 hours, Lisa replied. The mothership's tentacles are already touching the event horizon. Chris looked at his fleet. 500 human ships, each one built with 50 years of desperate innovation. They were smaller than the Devourer vessels, but they carried weapons that could crack planets and shields that bent space itself. Communications. Open a channel. To all ships, Chris ordered. Channel open, sir, replied the communication officer. This is Admiral Murphy to all fleet commanders. Today we fight not just for Earth, but for every living thing in the galaxy. The Devourers think they've won because they destroyed the Council fleets. They don't know what humans are capable of when we're pushed to our limits. Responses came from ship captains across the fleet, voices full of determination and controlled anger. These people had grown up hearing stories about the exile. They knew exactly what they were fighting for. Captain Rodriguez, Chris said to Tony, who was now commanding a squadron of fighters. Take your ships and hit their outer defense ring. Show them how humans fight. Tony's voice crackled over the radio. With pleasure, Admiral. All fighters, follow me in. Chris watched as 200 human fighters appeared directly in the middle of the Devourer formation using quantum jump technology. The alien ships had no time to react. Human weapons tore through their hulls like paper, creating explosions that lit up the darkness of space. But the Devourers learned quickly. The remaining ships turned to focus their fire on the human fighters. Dark energy beams lanced out, destroying several Earthships before they could escape. Fighters retreat, Chris ordered. We've seen enough. The human fighters vanished again, jumping back to safety near the main fleet. But they had accomplished their mission. The Devourers now knew they faced a new enemy, one with technology they had never encountered. "Admiral," Lisa said, studying her instruments, "the Devourers are changing formation. They're treating us as a real threat now." Chris smiled. "Good. It's been a long time since anyone made them nervous. All ships prepare for full assault. Target the mothership." The human fleet spread out in a complex pattern that confused the Devourer commanders. Some ships appeared above the enemy formation. Others materialized below it. A few jumped directly into the middle of the alien fleet and began firing in all directions. The battle became chaos. Human gravity bombs created miniature black holes that sucked in entire Devourer ships. Quantum disruptors tore enemy hulls apart at the atomic level. Energy shields that could deflect particle beams protected human vessels from counterattacks. "Sergeant Dan Miller," Chris called over the radio, "are your Marines ready for boarding action?" "Ready and waiting, Admiral," came the reply from the tough Marine sergeant. "Just get us close enough to their mothership." Chris turned to his tactical officer. "Plot a jump course directly into the mothership's hull. We're going inside." "Sir," the officer said nervously, "that's extremely dangerous. If our calculations are wrong, we could materialize inside solid metal." "The calculations are correct," Lisa said confidently. "I checked them myself." The Retribution vanished from its position and reappeared inside the Devourer mothership. Emergency lights flashed red as the ship's hull scraped against alien metal. Corridors. They were inside the enemy vessel, surrounded by strange technology and hostile creatures. "Marines, go!" Chris shouted. Sergeant Dan Miller led 50 of Earth's best soldiers out of the airlocks and into the alien ship. They wore powered armor that could stop energy weapons and carried rifles that fired concentrated gravity pulses. Behind them came engineers carrying the most dangerous weapon humanity had ever built. The portable gravity bomb was small enough to carry, but powerful enough to create a chain reaction that would destroy the entire mothership. Dr. Parker had designed it during the darkest days of the Exile, when humans thought they might have to destroy their own planet to keep it from alien invaders. "Move fast," Dan told his team over the radio. "We need to reach the power core before they realize we're here." The Marines fought their way through corridors filled with mechanical creatures that looked like giant spiders made of black metal. Human weapons tore through the defenders, but more kept coming. The Devourers were trying to protect their most important ship. 2 minutes to the core, Dan reported. "Heavy resistance, but we're getting through." Outside the mothership, the space battle continued. Human ships darted between Devourer vessels like angry wasps, stinging and retreating before the enemy could respond. But the aliens were adapting. Their weapons were starting to find their targets more often. "Admiral," Tony's voice came over the radio, "we're losing ships. The Devourers are learning to predict our jump patterns." Chris gritted his teeth. They were running out of time. If Dan's team couldn't plant the gravity bomb soon, the human fleet would be destroyed piece by piece. "Sergeant Miller, status report," Chris demanded. "Almost there, sir. The power core is just ahead, but there are hundreds of defenders between us and it." "Do whatever it takes," Chris said. Dan and his Marines charged into the final chamber. The Devourer power core was a massive sphere of pure energy, surrounded by mechanical guardians the size of buildings. The Marines fired everything they had, clearing a path through the alien defenders. "Bomb is armed," Dan reported. 30 seconds to detonation. All Marines, get to the extraction point." But the Devourers had sealed the corridors. Dan and his team were trapped inside the mothership with a weapon that would destroy everything within 1,000 miles. "Admiral," Dan said calmly, "tell my family I was proud to serve Earth." "Negative, Sergeant, we're coming to get you." "No time, sir. Take care of the galaxy for us." The gravity bomb exploded. The Devourer mothership collapsed in on itself, creating a black hole that consumed the alien vessel and everything inside. Cursor. The chain reaction spread to nearby Devourer ships, destroying dozens of them in seconds. But the victory came at a terrible cost. Dan Miller and his Marines were gone, along with many other brave humans who had given their lives to save the galaxy. The surviving Devourer ships retreated to the Galactic Rim, their invasion broken. The remaining Council races slowly began to rebuild their shattered worlds. and Earth took its place as the new protector of galactic civilization. Months later, Chris Murphy stood in the Memorial Garden on New Earth, humanity's first colony world beyond the solar system. Stone markers honored the humans who died fighting the Devourers. At the center stood a statue of Sergeant Dan Miller, the Marine who saved the galaxy. "Admiral," Lisa Parker Jr. said, joining him in the garden. "The Council has asked us to establish military bases in every sector. They want human protection." Chris nodded. "The same people who exiled us now want us to be their guardians. Do you think we made the right choice helping them?" Chris looked up at the stars where human ships patrolled to keep the galaxy safe. "We saved billions of lives, Lisa. Sometimes being the monster is the only way to protect the innocent." The Galaxy Council had exiled Earth to contain human violence. Instead, they had created the perfect guardians for a dangerous universe. Their biggest mistake had become the galaxy's greatest salvation.